Coming up, how the men's cross-country team just made history.
Plus, the new NCAA rule on sports betting.
I'm Arianna Spruielle.
And I'm Gianna Perez.
Rambler Sports Locker begins now. Fall break is over, we've taken a moment to recharge, and there's a lot to catch up on around campus. Between midterms and the end of summer, I'm so excited to welcome the fall.
Absolutely. You know what? Time has flown by so quickly, and fall break was a much-needed start to the season.
Well, school may have been on break, but our Loyola athletes weren't. Up next, Flores is here to keep you in the loop with your Rambler Rundown. Thanks, Arianna. Let's take a look at how the Ramblers have been doing so far and what lies ahead. For men's soccer, they tied a game against Fordham 1-1 during the 81st minute last Saturday. They continued with their conference play against St. Joseph's Wednesday night, ending in another tie. Next, they will play LaSalle this Saturday. Women's soccer had a draw against LaSalle 3-3 Sunday afternoon. Next, the Ramblers will host the Richmond Spiders this Sunday for the breast cancer awareness match. The women's volleyball team pulled up a thrilling 5-set win over St. Louis, 3-2 Tuesday night. Although they dropped the second and third set, they bounced back in set 4. Up next, Loyola hosts Duquesne this weekend. Lastly, our women's golf fall season concluded at Western Michigan. Round 1 and 2 were played on Monday, and the final round played Tuesday. This will be their final competition of the fall season into February. For men's golf, they'll be attending the Boilermaker Invitational on Monday and Tuesday. Now, on the topic of Loyola sports, one former Rambler star continues to inspire both on and off the court. Here's a look at Lucas Williamson, his journey, his impact, and how he continues to represent what it means to be a Rambler.
Former Loyola basketball star Lucas Williamson is in Chicago this weekend, but just for a while. Before he leaves for Memphis for his G League season, Williamson spent the morning giving out breakfast to the community that raised him. Hello, you guys. I'm here with Drew, Lucas Williamson's former coach, right? So, Drew, what does it feel to look back and reflect on Lucas Williamson and seeing what he's been doing out here today?
He's always been somebody that cares about this city and community deeply, and that's part of the reason why he chose Loyola. Events like this are really cool to see, and I'm really proud of him.
I think Lucas is really good at connecting with the children and showing them things are possible. You know, he went to FXW and then he went to Whitney Young, but showing that hey, you can still make it. I think that's really cool for him to do.
I feel like I've always seen him having great relationships with the kids. He talks a lot about their mental and how that's important with sports. So he's a great teacher with that.
For fans and families alike, it was a heartfelt send-off, one that reminded everyone that Williamson's impact goes far beyond the game of basketball.
I think finding joy in the journey, it's a simple phrase, but it has a very impactful meaning. Whatever it is, you're on your own path and your own journey, and there's going to be ups and downs in that. Just growth isn't always linear, so I think it's important to find joy in wherever you're at in your journey.
Well, you guys, that's the recap for today's event. A morning full of food, fun, and inspiration from none other than Lucas Williamson himself, reminding us again to find a joy in our journey. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Flores with RSL.
Thanks, Kim. In this next chapter, we at Rambler Sports Locker and the Loyola community wish Lucas Williamson nothing but the absolute best. Coming next, men's cross country is making Loyola history. Henry Isenberg has the scoop.
Recently, a Loyola sports program achieved something that has never been done in team history. The men's cross-country team was ranked nationally for the very first time, coming in at 30th in the national coaches poll. Now, candidly, I've not been watching much cross-country this season, and shame on me for that. This team is sizzling hot, coming off of a second-place finish at the Sean Earl Lakefront Invitational, in which they placed above schools like 16th-ranked North Carolina and 24th-ranked Washington. This Rambler team was led by the lightning bolt that is graduate student William Sinclair, who ran a blistering 23-minute and 24-second 8K, placing 4th and earning the A10 Performer of the Week. The Ramblers have actually been in control of that title for multiple weeks running, no pun intended, with the previous winner being Hayden Healy. He earned this honor after his performance in the National Catholic Invitational, where he ran an 8K in 24 minutes and 14 seconds. The Ramblers hope to keep the momentum going next weekend when they travel to Columbia for the Missouri Pre-National Invite. This will be a great tune-up for the conference championship, which will take place next week. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Henry Isenberg.
Thanks, Henry. You know, it's awesome to see our Ramblers making history.
Yes, for sure. And speaking of making history, the Cubs and Brewers have been battling out in the NLDS for their first ever postseason matchup. Janine DiGerolamo has more.
This week, our Chicago Cubs battled the Milwaukee Brewers as they advanced to the National League Division Series. Unfortunately, the Cubs did not start strong. Last Saturday at American Family Field, the Cubs lost 9-3, with the Brewers leading with 6 runs just in the first inning. Hoping to tie the series, Monday brought another game at Milwaukee. However, the Cubbies lost again 7-3. Both teams led strong in the first inning, each scoring 3 runs, but the Brewers pulled ahead in the third and fourth innings. On Wednesday, the Cubs brought the heat back home at Wrigley Field. The Cubs won 4-3, moving them to Game 4 of the series. The Cubs started strong with all 4 hits in the first inning, and a home run from Michael Busch set the crowd on fire. The game brought the series standing to Brewers 2, Cubs 1. And on Thursday, the Cubs pulled through and brought another win to Wrigley. This moved the teams to the 5th game in the series, tied for the spot in the National League Championship Series. The 5th game will be on Saturday back in Milwaukee. Good luck to our Chicago Cubs. We hope to see the W fly. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Janine DiGerolamo. Thanks, Janine. There's nothing like postseason play at Wrigley Field. Next, the NCAA Committee for Division I Sports is allowing players and staff to place their bets. Joe Mangold has everything we want to know.
Hello, Ramblers. Today we're here to talk about the NCAA and the college athletics. Sports betting for college athletes has always been illegal, so it seems crazy to see the NCAA Committee for Division I Sports has voted to allow players and staff to bet on professional athletes and games. With this, of course, comes the risk of tampering, but it's much more difficult to tamper with games nowadays. Plus, not many professional athletes are foolish enough to try something like that. Along with that, students cannot bet yet, since the rule is not in effect till November 1st. But there are requirements that still need to happen. The Division II and Division III committees need to vote in favor of the new ruling. If not, then the rules banning betting will stay in place. There are not too many rumors of what will happen since the news is still relatively new, but I will say it does look like if the Division I committee is for it, the Division II and Division III committees will follow in their steps. We will include an update in next week's episode, and who knows, this might be a ramble topic coming soon. Now, typically, this is where I send it away to the anchors, but instead, I'll be a guest on the Ramble with first time for the semester. Kirstan, take it away.
Thank you, Joe. And with that, hello everyone and welcome back to the Ramble. My name is Kirstan Richardson and I'll be your host today because, well, Joe wants to be part of this discussion. So how do you feel about being on the other side for first time in a minute?
You know, it's weird. I mean, it's nice not having to write a whole script just for that. But, you know, I'm excited for a little bit of a discussion instead of having to be, you know, the host of the show.
Sounds good. Last week, the Atlantic 10 Conference dropped their preseason poll for men's basketball. While the defending champs VCU earned their spot at number 1, Loyola Chicago was placed 5th in the rankings. Given the changes that has happened on our team and across the A10, do you think that we deserve that 5th spot? What do you think, Joe?
Honestly, I think we deserve 3rd or 4th. Now, despite losing Quinn, Dawson, Watson, and Edwards Jr., I mean, our team has gotten a little bit interesting. Having Miles Rubin, of course, and Moore being on the team and back again on the roster, along with Drew Valentine and the new transfers of Dominic Harris from UCLA and Joseph Olajoseph from California, I think it's enough of an impact to keep us going on the same pace. So right now, I would say we'd be probably about 3rd or 4th.
Oh, okay. You know, and I agree with all the points that you mentioned about, you know, we have these big transfers from Wisconsin, UCLA, Cal. To me, it's kind of tricky because the A10 across the conference, everyone made their big changes. I know with VCU, they kind of lost one of their players. He got drafted in the NBA. But a team that I am looking at, and this was a team that was ranked above us on the rankings, George Washington, they got a 6'10" player, Luke Hunger, from Northwestern. And I feel like that's very, very, very important for a team like George Washington because they lost a lot of players with tall and being super tall players. I think one player that I feel like is going to motivate that George Washington team would be Rafael Castro, who's also the tallest player on their team, being 6'11", and I feel like that added height kind of pushed them up again, like above us. But I feel that overall, this just proves that our mission as a team, we just got to be strong out there, especially with teams like VCU, who's #1, and St. Louis, who's #2, which was close on the rankings. VCU was ahead of St. Louis by 1 point on the preseason rankings. So how do you feel about that?
Honestly, a bit of a surpriser. I personally think SLU is a bit overhyped. I mean, I have them even at 5th on my preseason rankings just because they're not consistent enough. They lost to us multiple times. They've lost to teams like Dayton, George Washington, George Mason. They just, if they're that great, then they'd be better last season. They would have shown it last season.
Okay.
I honestly think second wouldn't be SLU. It would be Dayton or even us, because Dayton, despite their inconsistencies, were still able to beat ranked teams last year like UNC, Iowa, and Cincinnati, or Iowa State and Cincinnati. But I do see Loyola being able to possibly take that second place spot.
Oh yeah, because even looking at the poll, is that top 6, and we kind of discussed this before. That top 6. There's going to be a lot of changes. I think with VCU, they're probably going to stay at the top going into the end of the season. But I feel like, at least with us, we're probably going to have to make some moves, probably maybe top 3.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely going to be a dogfight. I am excited, I will say, despite it not being our school. I think George Mason's going to cause a lot of problems. Yeah. I think their defense has been very strong consistently throughout their time here, at least my time watching them. And I think they're definitely going to be a dark horse to take that first spot possibly from VCU.
And I don't want to count out St. Bonaventure.
True. They're an interesting team. They definitely don't meet the expectations, definitely do a better job.
They're very quiet in the regular season, but come to post or go down to those last couple of games of the regular season, that's when they start making big strides. So I don't want to count them out either. So yeah, that's pretty much like my opinion on this whole poll. It's very, very interesting. Speaking of the changes here, we lost some players either through graduation or through the transfer portal. But with our new players coming in, plus returning players like Miles Rubin and Justin Moore, what do you think our record will be at the end of the regular season?
So as of now, we play about 30 games without including any tournaments we get invited to, or if we make it to NIT or March Madness again. I see us going 24-6 with a record of inside the conference being 13-5, and I think we beat teams like VCU this year. But we also end up losing to probably Dayton, SLU, George Washington, George Mason, and honestly even St. Joseph's. Outside the conference, I see us going either 11-1 or 10-2. Those two possible losses, I would say, probably be to Colorado State or Princeton. Honestly, Colorado State would probably be the bigger choice to lose to.
I mean, we did beat Princeton last season.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, I think for some people it was a shock. Others, at least for me, it wasn't. I'm on the fence. See, I want to be optimistic with this new batch of guys coming in. But I'm a person that wants to see a couple of games and then make that determination. But I want to say maybe 2010, maybe 1911. I'm really on the fence with this record. We had a lot of big strides, I think, at the A10 tournament and at the NIT, having our quarterfinals being here, which became a big shock. And I feel like that this team is going to experience some type of adjustment issues, but hopefully this team will pull it out. So with that, that'll be the end of our ramble. Joe, thank you so much for participating in this discussion. And now let's pass it back to our anchors, Arianna and Gianna.
That's a lot to think about, and as always, win or lose, I expect them to show up on top and show out. However, time will tell if any of our predictions will be true.
Absolutely. You know what? I hope to see a great season for Loyola basketball, and we wish them well.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Rambler Sports Locker.
To stay up to date on all things Rambler Sports, be sure to follow us on X, TikTok, and Instagram at Loyola RSL, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
From all of us here at Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Arianna Spruielle.
And I'm Gianna Perez.
We'll see you next week, and don't forget to turn off the lights.